Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today, Jan and I had some comments and stuff that we wanted to make about a conference we just got back from, and I just hold this up here. I know it's backwards from you all reading it, but I'll just read it. It's a Western Canada Conference on Soil Health and Grazing, and it was a 3-day conference that Jan and I were part of, and the subtitle was Soil and Grazing, Biology, Not Geology. And so what they were focused on is, soil health and what all this means to this whole regenerative farming thing. It comes back to the soil. And if you don't have healthy soil, there's a good chance that your farm's not going to survive. And what you're producing and you're feeding customers, it's not very good food if it's not coming out of healthy soil. And so there was 3 days of it. I was a speaker 2 of those days. And on each day, there was a whole list of professors and professionals in all the different aspects of soil health. And this was held at Edmonton, Canada. And it was cold. It was cold up there.
They thought it wasn't. They thought it was what?
They're just tough. You Canadians, you guys are just, and ladies, you all are just tough.
They said it was hoodie weather.
Yeah, hoodie weather, my tail. It was 18 below zero when we got off the plane. I thought my face was going to freeze off, but they said, oh, you should have been here the week before. It was 40 below zero. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I would have just died. But it was a wonderful conference. We didn't have to spend very much time outside.
No.
We did go out to eat once the last night we were there, and that was the only time we really went out of the hotel. But anyway, there were some really good speakers here. It's a great conference, something that you ought to put on your radar. Sometime make it on your bucket list to go up there and attend this conference. That would be a recommendation. One of my favorites was Jay Fewer. He kicked off the conference on day 1. And Jay gave a really good talk on soil health. Jay is the original, I would say, one of the pioneers in this soil health movement. And he's up there in North Dakota, Bismarck, up there where it's warm, minus 40 below. Jay, you're a tough dude too. But anyway, it was great to hear Jay kick off the conference, and he's so down to earth, and he's a very humble man. But Jay knows a lot about what it takes to build healthy soil. And if you don't have that, you're probably not going to survive today. And the cost of everything skyrocketing, all of our inputs, that's the beautiful thing about what they were doing. The producer panels they had each day. There was a producer panels of farmers. They pick out 3 farmers. I think there was 3 each day. And every one of those guys, the reason they were up there, they'd been successful eliminating inputs and getting off the chemical fertilizer bandwagon, all these specialty new, just getting away from what's taking all the money out of the pocket of the farmer. You kill the soil, and then you're dependent on all this stuff, and then all these pests come in, and you're not working with nature anymore. You're working against nature. And one of the speakers, I think he was on the first producer panel, Shorty Finsky. Somebody asked him, said, Shorty, why'd you change? He said, I had to. If I hadn't changed, he said, I wouldn't be up here talking to you. I'd have lost my farm. So it took courage for Shorty to step outside the box to start doing and looking at things differently. And he's never looked back. So yeah, Jan, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I think it was, it was a lot of scientists were there too. And being from a research background from the University of Missouri, it took me a little while to get my head wrapped around some of these scientific things they were talking about. But I thought it was very interesting when they were measuring the microbes and how far down and what they were doing in the soil. I know you were there when they were talking about that, so if you want to talk a little bit about that, I thought that was just very interesting.
Well, a big buzzword you hear today.
Yeah, I'm going to show this. This is a beautiful picture.
Yeah, that's healthy soil there, folks.
We're talking about the aggregates. Everything's working together.
Yeah. So a picture like that is worth $1 million because if you've got soil that looks like that, and you get a rain, or if you get in a drought, and you've got healthy fungal, mycorrhizal fungi with the bacteria at the right ratios in there, you're probably going to cruise right through that drought, or whatever. If you don't have that, your plants are going to struggle. One of the things that I was impressed with is that on the soil carbon is how much that we are sequestering with grasses. We're not talking about forest here.
Right.
We're talking about grazing grasses.
And mainly the grazing too. That was interesting.
Yeah, so with managed adaptive type grazing, where you are increasing your stocking density, so you're getting the animals in there to higher stocking density, moving them more frequently, those are the highest levels of carbon that were measured. Were under those pastures. And as deep as 6 feet down, they found 30% of the carbon was down 6 feet.
Yeah.
It's sequestered. And they had controls where they weren't grazing, where they did graze, continuous grazing, row cropping, cover crops. These are scientists. So you hear a lot of people say, oh, this all sounds cool. Show me the data. Folks, there's people out there putting together the data. They're putting together the scientific data showing the differences. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. It's not just Greg sitting out there in the country talking to a bunch of people saying it's better. No, they're measuring it. It is better. And what was rewarding to me was one of the professors, I wish I had his name. He was one of the older, he was old like I am. He's 59, 60. Maybe you weren't that old, sir, but I went up and congratulated him after his talk. One of the things he said at the end of his talk, he said, folks, you hear all this doom and gloom about how, the cows are destroying the environment. He said, we're in trouble. If we take the cows off the land, he said, we're all done. He said, we're done. There is no other tool that we have in our toolbox that can sequester carbon, hold rainwater in place by building organic matter in the soil, while providing a very high quality food that doesn't require a lot of fossil fuel to produce food for our local economies. This is coming from a university professor that has been in this business his whole life. And so that was refreshing to me to hear a professional say that instead of just the opposite. Oh, you got to get the cows off. I'm like, oh, we do that, we are in trouble.
Right. And they're saying that the water, we keep talking about, you keep saying healthy soil, healthy people, healthy animals, blah. But this is very important. This is like the key to the whole industry.
Yep.
I mean, it's just not something we just say because it sounds good.
No.
It's very important. It's a healthy watershed with no insecticides, fungicides, herbicides. It's every time we put that spray on there, we're killing not just the bad bugs or the insects, we're killing millions of good things.
Yeah, that's right.
And so every time you kill that, it's taking a part of the puzzle away.
Yep. Well, and the more stuff we try and kill, there's always going to be a portion of that community that becomes resistant to it.
Right.
And now you've got to get a bigger, meaner chemical to come back again. And guess what? There's going to be a percentage that get resistant to that one. And that's what we've been doing now for the last 60, 70 years is, in commercial agriculture, you got to get big or get out. Get big, mean, or we're going to get whipped. No, that's the wrong thinking. We need to learn to work with nature and see what all these natural pests can do for us. There's some really good predators out there that take care of these pests for us.
Like, we're going to show you another cool picture here. That's what's happening in our soil, guys. This is a picture of life in the soil, working with those roots.
Yeah, that is our muscular mycorrhizal fungi. And it's the workhorse of our soil. It can go up to 60 to 70 feet from the plant to source water in a drought and bring it back to the plant. The plant will return payment to that arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi in the terms of giving it a little bit of sugar. If it'll go source some phosphorus. This fungi, folks, it's a big deal.
And that's what helps hold the soil together.
Yeah, but when you use excessive tillage on your farm, you're killing all the arbuscular microfungi. You're chewing it up, and now it can't work for you. So anyway, I got to get off here.
Well, hold on.
Jan's got one more.
I got a couple. So there's some books that Jay talked about.
Jay Fuhrer?
Yes, and I think it's something that I want to order the books now that I've got some energy.
What are they?
The Buffalo Harvest.
The Buffalo Harvest.
By Frank Meyer. Buffalo Bird Woman Garden. Gilbert Wilson. Finding the Mother Tree. There were a slug of good people recommending books. I just need to sit down and go through this.
That sounds like a video in itself, right?
I know. And then who else was there?
Oh, James Rebanks and his lovely wife, Helen. Yeah, Jan and I got to reunite with James Rebanks and his wife. We stayed with them in England when we were there this summer, and James was a keynote speaker that second night.
Both. Yeah.
He gave 2 talks, and he knocked it out of the park. James is a very passionate sheep rancher. I guess you'd call it a shepherd.
Yes.
In England, they don't call them ranchers; they're shepherds. But his family had been farming in that area where he's at for over 600 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, we got the book in the other room, the Pastoral.
Yep. So he's written several books. James Rebanks, you need to check him out. You can get all of his books on Amazon. So.
And Helen's got a book coming out.
Helen has a book coming out this year.
Yeah.
I think. So that'll be a good one too. So that was nice meeting up with them. And so anyway, we're going to get out of here, and just wanted to share that conference with you that we went to in Canada. Again, it was called the Western Canada Conference on Soil Health and Grazing. And this year it was called Biology, Not Geology. So I think that's a big one. And we really appreciate y'all chiming in today. Hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see y'all down the road.